Well, I'm certainly glad I could join you today. Today we're going to showcase a fantastic little insect, the motylid, also known as the velvet ant. So let's get underway. I hope you're all ready. You have your supplies, and we'll get this started. There. Uh-oh. A happy little accident there on the screen.
That was me. I'm the happy accident. Russ brought me to life through the power of love. So, guys, we got to bring Bob Russ on the show. For longtime viewers, you'll know this is a dream of mine that I set in place 2 years ago. Was it? It might have been your first visit with us, Russ.
It may have been.
It may have been because it was pretty early on in our friendship that I decided you were Bob Ross, and then that snowballed into Clint being Mr. Rogers and Wally being like Captain Kangaroo. There's definitely some others. So then someone mentioned like I was comparable to who's the old late night guy, Johnny.
I know.
Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. And I was like, no, I'm not. I cannot believe I can't think of his name. But yes, it's Josh and Bob Russ, and we're so excited. Laura's here. We've got Wendy from the UK. Wendy, we had a question about our subtitles. Are they coming through in English okay? I know you guys speak English over there. Is that working? I wanted to highlight my ignorance. So
Carson, Green Jedi Monkey's got it. Johnny Carson.
Carson. Yeah, I know. That's why I took him a minute. Normally he's Johnny on the spot, but he didn't. Nobody understood the Johnny Carson thing because it's not a thing. But let's bring the bugs into the forefront. Well, the bug.
Yeah.
This is another lady.
This is a lady. I'm going to take this off now because it's hurting my head.
Well, while you do that, and since you sacrificed that, guys, this is a new series of Coca-Cola. I guess they're doing creations, Coca-Cola creations. It's a beautiful bottle. This is whoever did this. First off, didn't do their homework. They're calling it Y3000 instead of Y3K. I don't know why they're doing that. This is futuristic flavored. So I don't know how excited you think I am, but you don't. However excited you think I am, let's multiply that by 1,000 because the last time we had Coke Dream flavored, it was a nightmare. It was so bad. It was literally the worst thing I've ever tried on this show. So Coke, if you're watching, I will never accept you as a sponsor. You keep your mega corporation bucks. Pepsi though. But yeah, we're gonna crack this open and give it a shot here. And then I literally have so many questions about these bugs, these insects, that it's gonna overflow the whole show. So audience, I apologize. Hello to everyone. Let's get into this. All right. What is the smell? I don't know what this smell is.
I don't know either, but I can smell it from here.
Oh, it smells like the future. All right. Oh, I see. I don't even know. Climate change. What else does it smell like? Societal collapse. Let's see. Oh, God. I don't know what that is. I don't think it's as bad as I'm making it out to be. What's that?
Wally just said it smells like Teen Spirit.
If that means armpit, I never understood that song, but if that means armpit, it's a little... It smells like, imagine what you hope a clown's wig smells like that rainbow afro wig. Like imagine, like in your dream, what that smells like. Not in real life. Probably it smells awful, but like glitter. I don't know. It's got like a cotton candy smell to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, but before we get into this, all right, we've got Frank, we've got Supreme Gecko, we've got Green Jedi Monkey, Laura, somebody named Lurking. Okay. Would the hobby like if someone started captive breeding velvets? Yes. Someone would definitely like that, Lurking. Thank you for throwing that out there right away. We're going to get into that, so spoilers, but yes.
Yeah, I
absolutely. Go ahead and raise them. Go ahead and raise them, Lurking. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. Sweaty clown wig flavor. It's a little bit better than that. I don't know. It's not so bad. We're going to see what it's like when we try pickle flavored pistachios and combo those two. But we are going to get into this before we get into that. So, Russ, velvet ants. They're not actually ants. They're not actually velvet.
True.
What in fact are they? They are imposters of the highest order.
Well, they are related to ants because they're in the order Hymenoptera, along with ants
and wasps.
Wasps, and they are in fact a type of wasp.
Okay.
And the family to which all velvet ants belong is the Mutilidae.
Okay.
And there are about 8,000 species of velvet ant in the world.
8,000 species of velvet ant. Now there are some video clips we have of other ones, guys. This is Russ's. Do you have a name for this girl yet?
Yeah, her name is London.
London. Oh, that's why our London friend showed up. So, okay, good. Her name is London. Well, she is very active. She froze for a second there, but I can't get over how active she is. Is she one of the larger species, or?
Yeah, she is the larger specimen. She's pushing an inch.
Okay, all right. And then while these guys are fine living together, I've seen your community tank a million times and love it. And someday I'll get that whole desert community. I didn't realize so many desert animals would just hang out together. It doesn't make sense to me because resources are so hard to come by, but hey, it works. So these guys aren't necessarily like, they're not communal like an ant colony or a wasp hive, but they definitely tolerate each other. So are there any others that you can think of off the top of your head, like in this order, that aren't hive or colony related?
Yeah, there are a number of solitary bees and wasps that do kind of the same thing that these do, and in fact, these parasitize some of those solitary wasps and bees.
Oh, they're parasitic.
Yeah,
that's why no one's breeding them. Okay,
that is the main reason. Yeah, and I'm not sure whether if there are some that are parasitoids and some that are true parasites or not. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but the basic idea is, yes, they do require hosts to reproduce.
Now we're kind of jumping right into this. So guys, this is the reason why they're not super widespread in the hobby. They are super cool. I think the second reason is probably their venom, but we'll get into that later because they produce one hell of a sting. So cow killers, is that what they're called?
They are sometimes known as cow killers. Yep.
Yeah. So there's a reason for that. We'll get into that later. So breeding these guys is so far been at least a monumental task and difficult to do. And there's 8,000 species to consider. Probably some we don't even know their breeding specifics. So I'm sure they specialize in different species of host as well.
Yeah, there are some that are, a lot of the ones around here focus on a genus of sand wasp called Bembex. But there are others that are hosts of different wasps and bees, and I believe there are some that are hosts of other creatures as well, other insects.
So you would have to keep wasps.
Use hosts that are other insects.
You would have to keep wasps or capture the wasps at least to allow and have velvet ants that are ready to parasitize these wasps.
Yeah, you would essentially have to maintain an entire hive or burrow or whatever, what have you, of the host. It would have to be in what would closely replicate its natural environment. You've had my cousin Joe on before to talk about bees.
We did.
And he is an expert on velvet ants. A lot of his research focuses on velvet ants specifically. And he indicated to me that he has tried to offer the correct host animals, larval or pupal Bembex sand wasps, to the velvet ants. All they do when offered those in captivity is bite them to drink the hemolymph.
Oh, okay.
So they don't attempt to lay eggs, even though they presumably could. But it's very likely that the necessary environmental cues for the behavior require the entire burrow. They require possibly the digging process, digging into that burrow, finding the burrow in a suitable situation for them to be able to lay their eggs on the host. And so that renders captive breeding almost impossible. There was some limited success a number of years ago with one specific species of velvet ant. I think it was Dasymatilla bioculata, which I can find around here. They are one of the more samophilic species, in other words, sand-loving. Okay. A lot of velvet ants like hard pan, like packed down substrate. In the wild, they'll go along pans and things like that because that's where their hosts like to hang out, where it's hard packed. It's not like loose sand. But some species will do a lot better in loose sand, like Dasymatilla bioculata. They took some of those sand wasp larvae, put them under a sheet of glass, and the velvet ants did actually lay eggs on them, and they were able to raise a generation of velvet ants that way.
That's crazy. That is,
I don't think
the amount of work that's going to go into breeding these guys. Like, I don't see them ever becoming a part of the hobby, like a big thing in the hobby.
Right.
So, because everything you have is basically wild caught, right? There's no, I mean, well, not basically, everything's wild caught.
It's just wild caught, which, yeah. And that's something I tend to avoid in most of the creatures I keep. You know, the vast majority of creatures I keep are captive bred, but
sure,
I do keep limited numbers of velvet ants. Right now I have 4 velvet ants.
Oh, what's that doing to the whole ecosystem, Russ? Come on.
Well, no, it's good that you bring that up, because when I obtain velvet ants, I'm pretty careful about it.
Okay.
One of this velvet ant I collected down in the southern part of my state this summer. It was in early August, and I saw so many in the area in a very short period of time. And so I thought, okay, I'm not going to impact the population because there's so many down here.
Okay.
I feel okay about collecting one. Another one was in a place when I was in Arizona, Sky Island Adventures. Found one there, and they were very abundant in the area as well. And then this has been a really good year for velvet ants around here. So a canyon near our home, I found one and saw that they were, again, fairly abundant this year. And so I felt like I could collect one. And then somebody at the Air Force Base near me just texted me and said, "Hey, I found this velvet ant in our building. Do you want it?" so that's where I got that one. I would have invited the other velvet ants to join the party here, but they wouldn't.
They wouldn't.
They didn't want to. The 3 species I have now. I have this one is Dasymatilla klugii, or klugi, either way, which is, as you can see, very active, but also very bold.
Clearly, yes.
Always out and about, does not have a strong startle reflex or anything like that. Like, some velvet ants see you coming from yards away and they will hide or flee, like really fast. And 2 of the ones that I have now are Dasymatilla vestita, which tends to be a shy one. And they weren't having any of it. They were jamming themselves in little crevices in some of the wood, the weathered sagebrush wood that's in their enclosure, and we're not coming out. And the little tiny Timula that I have, she's been out a lot in the last few days, but today nothing. And I was getting something, this like temporary enclosure here, you see, getting that ready, and by the time I got it ready, she wasn't visible anymore, and she's been hiding ever since. So maybe she knew this was coming on. She's got stage fright. I don't know.
She needs a bigger influencer to be on the show.
Yeah.
She's like, 430. No, I'm out. Call me when it's 1,000. No, they're awesome. I can't get over. But again, like, you get them all kept wild caught, so you don't know how old they are, how close they are to their sunset years or weeks, I guess.
And you can get some idea of how old they are by looking at certain things. Like, they tend to dig a lot with their jaws.
Okay.
And you can look at their jaws carefully. I mean, under magnification, look at it and see that how worn they are. And you can get an idea, oh, this one's old. I can see it's worn quite a bit. And actually, some of the really old ones will start their CT or setae, the little hairs on them, the velvet, will wear off. Again, my cousin Joe, the velvet ant expert, he's mentioning he saw one that was completely devoid of this fuzz.
Oh,
it was so old that it had worn off completely.
Basically a wingless wasp at that, or just a regular wingless wasp.
Wingless, hairless little black terrestrial wasp. It was, yeah.
Oh, so sad. So sad. a little wheelchair, you know. So now they're we were talking about their breeding. So you mentioned it. I don't know anything about it. I purposely did no research so I'd have better questions, like in real time. They're not rehearsed. So you mentioned that they dig into the burrow of the host wasp. Is that in this case, the host wasp lay their eggs on the larva or the eggs of that species,
or the pupa,
and then they just leave.
Yeah, and then they go find another one and start over again.
So this is essentially the same thing as the or similar thing to the tarantula hawk.
Yeah, they're actually fairly closely related to those.
Okay. Well, that's kind of interesting. It makes sense. I can't get over the shape of how much it is in ants rather than a wasp. Like that abdomen is so large compared to the rest of the body. But I guess you couldn't fly. You wouldn't be flying with that. So.
Right, and the males do.
Oh, sure. So the females never fly? Is that?
Females never fly. They're not like, many ants that start out in the late stage and then they lose their wings later. They're eclose from their pupal case, no wings, females.
That's it.
The males are the ones that move around and disperse to a larger degree, find a mate. Some males of some species will even pick up the female and have a nuptial flight in the air.
So you still have that nuptial flight instinct and drive.
Yeah, and there's a lot of species that don't do it, but some of them do.
Oh, that's pretty wild. That's pretty wild to think that they still have that thought in their little head. Like, make this better. Supreme exertion. So make this so much more exciting. All right, here we go. These are from Pistachio World. Whoa. If you like pickles, you're going to love these. Wow. It's like a crust that they put on there.
Oh, kind of like peas.
Yeah, it's something else. I'll be eating those for sure, but maybe not a lot tonight. I was not prepared for that amount of pickle. But definitely, guys, we can pick these up. It's from Pistachio Land. So it's got the world's largest pistachio. It's like 5 stories tall. It's giant. Oh. It's not a real pistachio. It's not one that they grew. It's one they built. Food wise, let's get into some housing because this is a temporary enclosure, but I assume you could keep her in here indefinitely.
You could keep a velvet hen for quite a while, and it would probably be fine. My permanent enclosure is my 20-gallon desert setup that you've seen. That has all kinds of desert beetles in there. Who knows? I'm not even sure how many species of desert beetle live in there. But
go to the Aquarimax Pets page and look for his desert beetle communal. And if you don't want desert beetles now, you will afterwards. So it's a dangerous video to watch. But definitely, what is there? Blue death fainters and
we got blue death fainters. Guys. I've got other types of death fainters, like 2 or 3 different death fainting beetle species. I've got various Eleodes species, and all kinds of tenebrionids and some other like a hide beetles in there, and then 3 different species of velvet ants.
So fun. So you've got desert beetles, aquatic beetles, all communal.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is living the dream. That's my whole thing is communal tanks, like just a bunch of different animals. I want to see all those layers of activity.
Yeah, me too. I really, really find that I gravitate towards communal setups whenever possible.
Well, plus you get to keep more animals.
Exactly.
Less setups.
Less effort too.
That's true. That's true. They help each other out. So I still would love to keep something else with the Opeula, but you can't. Like, you really can't. There
are very few species you can keep with them, yeah.
Yeah, leave them alone. Let them do their thing. They're amazing. Leave them alone. Opeula is a tiny shrimp, guys. That's, if you haven't gotten them, get them. Everyone should have some. And if everyone gets some, we could all just trade them back and forth. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so they don't need a whole lot. But you say they're burrowers, so in their actual setup, like how much substrate do you have in there?
There's probably 1.5 to 2 inches of substrate in there. and it's the stuff that
Interesting.
U.S. Invertebrate LLC makes.
Okay.
So they make it specifically for breeding desert beetles, like death finning beetles.
Mm-hmm.
So there's kind of an organic, a lot of organics in the bottom layer, and then they put kind of a red sand over the top. And over time, that kind of gets churned up and mixed up, so the layers aren't quite as defined anymore. But it works. I mean, I've got beetle larvae in it, so it works really well for that. And the velvet ants can burrow under rocks and things like that, or just burrow straight into the substrate if they want. And it does tend to retain burrows a lot better than pure sand would.
That's pretty cool. Do you have to wet it down first and get it, let it kind of dry out like you would? I'm assuming this is plaster that she's on in here. Is that right? Or is this just sand?
This is just sand.
Okay.
So white sand. But the substrate that I have her in, it comes kind of moist, slightly moist when you get it. And then you let the surface dry out, and then you let most of it dry out. But you leave an area damp to create a moisture gradient for the beetle larvae, because most of the desert beetles are fine as adults without, minimal water. They can get most of the water they need from their food and things like that. But the larvae can desiccate pretty easily. So I keep one corner of the tank damp. I moisten it down a couple times a week.
Okay, and that's for beetles.
Yeah.
But obviously these guys, definitely. Now I want someone to start up that project and breed these guys and actually film it and see. But that's probably a David Attenborough project right there.
It's going to take a lot of effort, because you have to, like I said, replicate the entire burrow system and everything of these sand wasps or whatever species of wasp they parasitize. So.
Oh, she's going in that shallow wood.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Can she get all the way through?
I'm not sure if she can get all the way through this piece or not, but we'll see whether or not we're going to be looking at a bare tank for the rest of the show. We'll see.
I pulled a Josh move, and you can still kind of see her. I'm pointing at her. You can still kind of see her in that first 2 inches or whatever that is. There she is.
Yeah, you can see her legs. Oh, look, there she is.
She heard us talking about her. She's like, I'm not done with you guys.
Now we will know whether or not she can go. Oh, she can. Look at that. We were all just transfixed. Will she make it?
That's what we call a showstopper.
Yeah.
So that was more interesting than the dill pickle pistachios.
You were mentioning food, and I didn't get very far. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked, and I didn't tell you a whole lot about what they eat
on my show. Rust. How dare you?
It's always worth it. But they eat. You can see on the top left, at least for me, it's left. I'm not sure how it's showing for everybody else.
It's on my left. Yeah.
There's the rock, and then there's a little feeder, and it's a 3D printed base with a little glass vial. And you are probably very familiar with these from keeping true ants as opposed to velvet ants.
I am. I don't use them very often, honestly, but I am very. I have like 20 of them.
Oh, really?
I was like, I'm going to use these all the time, and I have them in one setup right now.
Okay.
And that's it. Yeah, I don't. These are very safe for the animals, and they avoid evaporation. But
right on cue, I'm gonna do.
There she goes. Yeah, these are really good feeders. You can use sugar water in there, regular water. Do you have sugar water in this one, or
this particular one? I've got sugar water. Yeah, it's a 6 parts water, 1 part sugar, and a few grains of salt for electrolytes. And I give them that. I also have one that's just water, pure water all the time.
Okay.
And then I've got another larger one that's for nectar as well. So they always have that because they are, as adults, mostly nectivorous. They just drink nectar. That's most of what they do. You can also provide things like bug jelly. I give them beetle jelly and things like that, and they'll go after that. Any kind of juicy fruit. And they'll even chew on things like sweet potato, carrots, and things like that a little bit. But they seem to do better when it's very juicy, like slice open a grape and give it to them, or a piece of cantaloupe or something like that that's very juicy. They really do that.
Yeah, I've done that with the ants. Here, the other colonies are still so small. They're like 6 ants each. So, but yeah, the regular ants, her distant cousins.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine a colony of these. Holy cow, would that just...
That would be something, wouldn't it, if that worked? Oh,
that's all that was in that area. So
yeah. And we should make sure we talk about that, their venom and whatnot. But one thing I wanted to point out, that a diagnostic feature of ants are their geniculate antennae. And for those of you who are wondering what that means, it basically means the antennae come out and then they bend, and it's approximately that 90-degree angle coming out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And ants have that. Velvet ants, and you can see when she. Hopefully, you can see it, and I can see if I can get some closer up shots of her. But basically, they don't have geniculate antennae. There's no bend in them. They're just basically a slightly curved antenna, but no
Let's
elbow.
see if we can see it in this video. Hold on, let me add this up, and then here we go.
Oh, maybe
they're like a wasp, right? They just have that little antenna that comes out basically straight out.
Yep.
There
you
it
can
is.
see it there. Yep.
It's got a little bend to it, but
it's not like a geniculate structure like in an ant.
What do you guys think of that? That's high quality Bob Russ video right there. Happy little bugs. Is this the communal tank?
This is this is an earlier iteration of the community tank. You can see two species in here. The one with the extraordinarily fluffy abdomen that's running around. Oh my gosh. Almost white. Well, she is white. That one is Dasimutilla gloriosa, also known as the thistledown velvet ant. And
it's like a piece of cotton. It's like a cotton ball just took off.
Yeah. You can see in the about the from the right side if you go left from the right side, you'll see a couple of little balls of those are creosote pods.
Okay.
She looks like a creosote pod.
She does. It looks like they're in stop motion, or like you've got them sped up. I can't think of the word.
Yeah, it kind of does. I absolutely love these. These are native to my state, but not close to where I live. You have to go down to the southwest corner where the Mojave Desert. There's a little portion of the Mojave Desert that's in our state in the southwest corner, and these live there.
I will say that the first time I found these in the wild, if I found them and came across a bunch, there just wouldn't be a bunch anymore in that area. They would have to hope that some more immigrants came in. I would have every single one I could grab because they're just so cool. I just have that like initially, you know what I mean? That initial like,
yeah.
When you just turn 8 years old again and just not even think about it. You're just collecting.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're amazing. They're just so captivating. And there's the other species you saw, one that had the black underside, the white top and the black underside.
Yeah.
That was Dasimutilla nocturna.
Okay.
I think it was Bugs in Cyberspace. He nicknamed them koala bears.
That's a good nickname.
It totally fits them. I'm captivated by all of them, and it's hard to pick my favorites. My wife's favorites are definitely the Gloriosa. She says they look like they're wearing little tutus, which is totally true.
The ballerina velvet ant.
Yep.
No, I think I have a new favorite, the little cotton balls. That's you know what I would, for marketing purposes, I would name them clouds, but that's me.
Oh,
that's me.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah. Or tough.
Oh, here's a funny side note. I do like that. They are like little clouds, but the creosote pods I was telling you about, for a long time, people thought these were mimics of the creosote pods.
Makes sense.
Because they look just like them. And in the wild, when the creosote pods are rolling along in the wind, it's really hard to tell them apart, like which one it is, you know. But one of the things my cousin Joe Wilson did about one of his research projects was trying to determine whether or not that was the case. And doing some genetic research on the creosote bushes, he discovered that the creosote bushes haven't been in the area as long as the velvet ants.
Huh.
They're much more recent arrivals in the Southwest. And he came to the conclusion, doing some additional testing with temperatures and whatnot, that the reason why these are white is because they live in the hotter deserts, and the white coloration reflects the sun and allows them to stay cooler longer during the day.
Nice. There you go. That, as soon as you said desert, I was like, snap. That makes sense, because there's so many animals that aren't scaled that have lighter color or white color that live in the desert. And part of it is to kind of match sand, but that's part of what it is. But a lot of these guys that are, bright white, or those silver ants from Africa, are literally like silver to reflect sunlight.
They look like quicksilver. Yeah.
They're so cool. But that's a great adaptation. We were just talking about Oh, this is a thing. This is a sidetrack, so we're at a good spot for it. I've been watching the Morgan Freeman Life on Our Planet. Have you been watching that at all or no? On
I haven't seen
Netflix?
that yet.
So it's a little weird. So the layout of it is weird, and they're getting Morgan Freeman to do all of these. So I'm really worried that they're gearing up for when David Attenborough passes. So God, never take him. Let him be immortal. But he says, okay, I wanted to run this by you. Like, okay, we're looking for Latin family name, I guess, or genus. I don't know, but what would you overall genus wise? Like you have isopods are like arthropods, right? So what am I right? Did I mess that up?
Okay, well, they are arthropods, but arthropods is a much bigger grouping.
Right. So what is what grouping is octopus in? What big grouping is octopus in?
They're mollusca.
Past that, go beyond, go deeper than mollusca, like bigger group.
Cephalopods?
Thank you. All right, because Morgan Freeman's saying cephalopods on the show, and I want to lose my mind because I'm like, does he know nothing? Do the people that wrote this script know nothing? Like, no one stopped him in rehearsal?
I would say that cephalopods could be just as correct. It's just the usage that we usually hear cephalopods. But a lot of words like leucistic should probably be pronounced leucistic. And cephalopods comes from Greek.
Okay.
But whenever we have a C in classical Latin, it's a hard C. So things like, so a Latin, to say porcellio, you'd never say porcellio, you'd say porcellio.
That's how I'm going to say it from now on. Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Russ. Russ puts the romance in romance languages, right, ladies, guys, whoever. I'm not trying to judge you. Could be whoever. Porcellio. Again, Giaglone. This is, yep, we brought it back. So that's where it came from. This is the guy. He brought up Giaglone. I brought up Bob Ross. So we're good. We give back to the community. It's been blowing my mind that he's saying cephalopods. It literally, I almost squeezed my drink glass to shatter. Like I was so like, what did he just say? I wasn't mad at Morgan Freeman. I was mad at the guy who wrote the script that knows what the animal's called, and he told Morgan Freeman to say cephalopods. Like Morgan Freeman's not an animal dude. He's not out in the jungles. Like, look, maybe he's into it. I don't know. I don't know him personally, but I'm gonna guess he's not out there going, that's a cephalopod. That was a really awful. That was not intended to be Morgan Freeman, you guys. I'm sorry. He said something else too. I can't put my finger on it. I can't remember what it was because cephalopod completely overshadowed whatever else he mispronounced. And he's been doing a lot of dinosaurs. Like it goes back millions and millions of years to the beginning of the earth to like now. And it's a lot of it is like this evolved because of this. And this creature took over the planet because everything else died when volcanoes destroyed everything. And then our Earth has gone through a lot of stuff. So apparently I missed a few things.
True.
So they had, what were the mass extinctions there? I know this is a huge sidetrack. There was the meteor, right? We all know about the meteor. Yeah. So volcanoes went nuts and killed everything, almost everything at once. And basically we had a pig dinosaur that everything evolved from there. There was nothing else left, essentially. There was algal bloom or plankton bloom that killed off pretty much everything in the ocean, which it was like one gigantic ocean at the time. Yeah, there's been a lot of mass extinction events that the causes were completely insane to me. I did not realize that if we had a massive bloom of plankton that it could decimate the planet. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, you get something that is a little off balance and it can cause that chain reaction and everything goes to pot.
Yeah, it's crazy. So guys, if you see a bunch of plankton, like way too much, like start eating it because do your part.
Go out of hand.
Just spoon it out, start making cakes or something. I don't know what you want to do with it, but do your part because plankton's got to go. Not right this minute, but if things start turning green, get out there. It was bad. So anyway, we were talking about evolution. We've got one more video clip. that we're going to get through, and then we'll talk about their evolution. These guys are so cute. Look at that, guys. All right, so now they're bopping their abdomen up and down. I didn't know this. Oh, look at that guy. What is that one that's like, what is that? The white one with...
That's Dasimutilla nocturna, a panda one.
All right, that one's cuter than the other one, but that other one just looking like a tuft of cotton.
Yeah.
It looks like he has a little coat on. It looks like you would see a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like that's...
Yeah, totally.
That's exactly what it is. Like, nothing to see here. All right, let's put her back on. Let's put London back in here.
There she is.
She deserves some of the show here. She's away from her friends. She just keeps trying to find them. She's like, Nancy, Euripides.
Okay, now those are their names. No.
Do they not have names? Or did I just name your...
You just named them. I love it.
All right, let's see in the comments. There's one more we could name, so you guys go nuts. We could maybe name that other one.
Well, the little one her name is Princess, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. We nailed it. Sorry, guys.
Nancy
Contest over.
Princess in London. Yeah.
Princess.
The previous discoverer of the tiny one called her Princess.
Was that the at the naval base?
Yes.
The Air Force base? Okay.
That was at the Air Force base, yeah.
I knew it was a base. Bee pollen, anyone? Yeah, do they eat bee pollen? Has anyone tried making food puzzles or wheels for velvets?
I haven't done food puzzles. I have put bee pollen in the enclosure. I'm not sure if I've seen her eat it or not. The beetles love it. And I'm not, I don't know, maybe she's eating it.
That would be a cool video to do food puzzle or a maze. Now I want to build a maze because we have Podsgiving is coming up. We're going to get to that. So we'll talk about that later. But I was trying to think of something to do for that because the last year was a little lackluster. We all got an A for effort, but the isopods weren't having it. If you haven't seen that episode, guys, go back and watch Podsgiving. It was a riot. It was me, Wally, and Russ, and a bunch of isopods. So I have a couple of ideas. My ideas are always kind of gross, but I think a maze would be really cool. All right, so keeping these guys is super easy because they're super hardy, right?
They are hardy in many ways, yes. The weird thing about having a pet velvet ant is when you get one, you never know how long it's going to live, partly because of lifespan, but just once in a while they'll give every sign of being healthy and all of a sudden just be gone within a week. Like the first, was it the first one? I don't know, at least one of the Armadillidium clugei that I got it just passed away within a week, and I had no idea why. Everything seemed to be fine. The environmental parameters seemed fine. In the same kind of care that I was offering that has kept velvet ants alive for years, and it just died. So sometimes that'll happen. But barring any of that going on, they can live a number. I've had them like about 2.5 years has been the maximum that I've had them for.
Okay. Which isn't crazy. Like I feel like for a solitary wasp, that's a pretty solid lifespan.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, they're very hardy in the sense of things trying to kill them. Most things that try to kill velvet ants fail miserably at killing them.
Yes.
To talk about my cousin again, I keep bringing him up, but just because he does such cool research on it and he knows what he's doing. He wrote an article that's called something like The Indestructible Velvet Ant. It talks about all their defenses and how the setae or the hairs on them at the scale of things that might try to eat them, it's more like trying to eat a porcupine. Like if you're a toad or a lizard or something trying to eat one of these, it's like trying to eat a porcupine at that scale.
Wow.
They also have a very interesting exoskeleton that is put together in such ways that it's very, very hard to crush. Velvet ants are one of those creatures that people will step on, and then the ant will just boop, pop right back up. Not the velvet ant will pop right back up and walk away unscathed.
That's wild. I thought that was them. I couldn't remember if it was them I know all of like Ironside beetles, the blue death fainters. They're all pretty.
There's some
hard to
tough ones
crush.
out there, yeah.
Yeah, but these guys are supposedly one of the biggest. or most difficult to crush.
Right, and people trying to
Accidentally.
pin them for insect collections often can't get the pin to penetrate the exoskeleton. They're quite tough that way. They also have the ability to stridulate. I remember you posted a comment on one of my Instagram posts because I found one in the wild, and that one I just released. But you could hear it stridulating and see its abdomen moving as it was stridulating, and that tends to deter a lot of predators.
So, guys, the abdomen, to me, this is Russ, and the rest of you will know that I'm a puppet fanatic. It looked like a Muppet mouth, like a spastic Muppet making this like this weird. It was definitely alarming. If I had heard that in the wild, I would jump out of my shoes and be like, what is this? What have I disturbed? What's the problem? If I was trying to eat it and it did that, I definitely would be like, not today. Nope, sorry. You go ahead.
I'm not going to try that.
Yeah, I didn't know you had emotions. You go on your own. Go be free. So, but the fact that I don't know what it is. What is the mechanism there? Does it actually like fold to stridulate?
I don't remember which structures exactly it's rubbing together, but it is rubbing some structures together on its abdomen that cause that sound. And some of them are really loud. And then, of course, if whatever predator gets past all of those defenses, the sting packs quite a wallop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that for a minute because have you gotten one? Have you gotten stung by these guys in accident?
When I was about 10 years old, I was stung by a velvet ant, and I remember it well.
Okay.
Yeah, it was intense. I remember seeing it stridulate, and I think I had read something about velvet ants and how they stridulated and everything, and I thought, oh, this is fascinating. I'm making it stridulate while it's sitting on my hand, and I'm like goading it, and it's stridulating, and it kept stridulating, and pretty soon it got sick of stridulating. Let me have it. And yeah,
maybe he's deaf. He needs sign language. This is the sign language of the velvet ants.
Yeah, so it was a very intense and pulsating sort of pain. Lasted a good while. And it was a small velvet ant.
Well, and for reference, guys, so there's an ant species that's native to Utah or lives in Utah called the Pogonomyrmex occidentalis. Occidentalis. And Russ has claimed to me that he is immune to their stings now because he's been stung so many times in his youth. So, and supposedly their sting is not anything to laugh at. Like for a tiny little ant, like they've got quite a punch. So, yeah.
But a velvet ant was significantly more memorable.
Well, I imagine their stinger looks like when I've seen them. I think I saw it on Brave Wilderness is where I first saw it. And forgive me for watching that show. It's before I did all of this, and I was addicted to watching him get stung by things. And his uncanny ability to get the animal back under a glass jar or whatever it was, no matter what it was, it would sting him, and he'd be like, "No, let me get it in this glass jar before I collapse." But their stinger is just obscenely long.
It is.
I don't even know. I can't even fathom where it comes from in their body. Like, where does it fold up? It's like Wolverine's claws. Like, where is that physically housed in their body?
That is a very good way to describe it. It does seem like Wolverine's claws. Where is that coming from? They have, I believe, the longest sting in proportion to their body size of any hymenoptera. Okay.
All right. That makes sense because it is. I've seen some pretty massive stingers on some of these, like wasps, when they would do like, I can't remember the other wasp that was shocking to me. That's supposed to be really, really, the size of the stinger was shocking, but velvet ant and it's kind of hook shaped. So it has to, obviously it wouldn't be able to go anywhere if it wasn't, but it was pretty crazy. So for you to get stung with that, it's going to go deep. I just don't know. Like, why would it have that big of a stinger? What is it getting through? Like cow skin, clearly it's getting into a cow, right?
And I don't even know why they call them cow killers, and I don't even know why they have such a long sting. But this is an interesting thing about the venom. It seems to be optimized for causing maximum pain without doing a whole lot of damage.
Okay. All right. So it's just like, get away from me. And I'm brightly colored. You'll remember this. Like,
yep.
What is their main? Do they have a main predator? Like, what is the deal?
That was one of the things that Joe was looking into, was trying to figure out what would predate on them effectively. And it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot that regularly preys on velvet ants. It's just not a good idea.
Yeah, well, I would think it'd have to be something higher thinking, like you would think of almost a meerkat level. Like, not that they have meerkats in Utah or Arizona or wherever they normally are, but like they're known to learn and teach their young how to avoid something like a stinger or get at it. Like they eat very toxic or very venomous scorpions like it's nothing. I would think there's got to be something out there that is like,
Or like
okay, I know how to deal with this. I'm sorry.
Kawadi mundis will do that. They will eat scorpions and things like that.
Oh yeah, they're smart enough too to be able to show their buddies.
Yeah, they do live where velvet ants live. There's a lot of, they share a range in many areas. I'm not sure if they eat them or not. It seems to me like it wouldn't really be worth it to eat a velvet ant, because even if you were able to circumvent the stinger and whatnot, you're gonna eat all the little hairs, and that can be fun.
Yeah, eat the hairs. It's not much of the air. You're probably going to chip a tooth on it.
Yeah.
There's no reason to eat these things.
Yeah.
So now, with that in mind, how prolific are they? Like, you say they drop a couple of eggs on a pupa of a wasp, and then they move on to find another pupa to drop more eggs on. And you're saying that there, when you go out looking, like when you found her, there were quite a few specimens, but what does that mean? Can we narrow those numbers down a little bit more?
Well, it's hard to say how prolific they are. I'm not actually sure. I do know that they tend to, they'll go from one nest to another, and they'll continue to do that. And they're quite determined, and they'll do that for quite a few months. And depending on where you are, the season can be longer or shorter. Where I live, they seem to be most active from like July until October. Okay. But in warmer areas, they're active for longer, and they seem to be just out looking for places to lay their eggs all the time.
So now, are these, do you know if yours are gravid or not? Like if they've been mated, or is it pretty much they all are, basically?
I would assume that they all had mated, most likely. I mean, it's hard to say for sure.
Sure.
I'm also fairly confident that they had a chance to, that being the case, they probably had a chance to lay quite a few eggs before I found them. So hopefully their descendants are out there in the world. Hopefully
they've got some descendants. Yeah, something that, them being a weird little parasitic or semi-parasitic animal, and to have them just lay a few here, lay a few there, because their targets don't have, they're probably also basically solitary wasps too, where they don't have a colony's worth of eggs or pupa or larvae sitting around.
I think a lot of their hosts are either solitary or small group sort of wasps and things like that. Yeah.
Lurking is wondering if they maybe, just real quick, there's a lot of questions, but it's weird to call someone lurking. But I'm going to call you Lurky, like from Rainbow Bright. I know everybody knows Rainbow Bright, right? You guys watched that? Lurky was asking if you think they could chew through mesh, like of a tent.
Like one of the pop-up enclosures that you use for butterflies and stuff like that?
I think that's specifically what he's talking about, or she. Yeah. Lurky, what Lurky's talking about.
I haven't investigated that. They have some pretty decent mandibles.
Sure.
So I think you'd probably want to test that a little bit before you went, you got too involved in housing them in one of those enclosures, because they, like I said, their mandibles are inclined to dig. That's what they're for, but I wouldn't put it past them to be able to at least try to chew on some of that. So I don't know. Good question.
I would think if they can dig through that harder material, like a scrub plane or something, they'd be able to get through mesh, like nylon mesh. I would probably think of they're still talking about breeding them for some kind of a project to try to do that. But I would think one of those like horse troughs, those big metal horse troughs would be good with a lid on. Some kind of a mesh lid.
They're good at climbing smooth surfaces. Well, not good at climbing smooth surfaces. Mm-hmm. They're better at climbing smooth surfaces than I am.
Fair.
they have a limited ability to climb glass. Let's put it that way. That's how Bugs in Cyberspace explains it. I think that's a good way to do it. I have seen mine climb glass, typically when they're younger, when I've had them for not very long. They're able to climb glass, but they tend to be fairly clumsy at it, and they'll fall off.
Sure.
So I do make sure I have a nice escape-proof enclosure for them, but at the same time, I'm not terribly concerned that they're going to climb out. But I just, it's insurance.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not really. I don't know. They're talking about having them in your house, but I don't think. Even then, I don't think it'd be a huge threat. I think it'd have to be really weird circumstances for you to get stung.
Yeah, you basically have to try to get stung by a velvet ant. There are some wasps that are pretty defensive.
Oh, did I just kick you out? Oh, snap. That wasn't what I was trying to do. Let me get Russ back in here. I was trying to move the little videos because they were slowing me down, guys. Let me throw Russ, I think, the sign back in here. Oh, my God. Of course that happens. There he is. Sorry, Russ.
No, that's fine.
I was trying to clear out the videos from my green room because I think they were slowing things down for me, and I got to keep the bug cam, but it kicked you out. So,
I totally lost my train of thought because suddenly the world disappeared.
We were talking about them climbing glass and escape-proof lid, and then I mentioned it wouldn't be. I don't think it would be that big a deal for them to be in your house on accident. I wouldn't recommend keeping them probably just loose.
Right. Yeah, that's right. We were talking about how they're not particularly defensive. Their first line of defense is to flee, and they're fast.
Okay.
So that's generally the first thing they're going to do. But you really would have to really bother one a lot, like I did when I was 10, to get stung.
And I feel like you got a lot of warnings. It sounds like it tried to give you a lot of warning time.
It did, absolutely. And I've had them crawl on my hands. When I, like this one, London, when I captured her,
Sure.
I was in a place where there were a lot of Native American petroglyphs and things like that.
Okay.
And so there are a bunch of people looking at those, and there was like a roadway. And then I heard someone from like 50, 60 yards away say, "What is that?" And someone else said, "It's a bug." And of course, I made a beeline.
I see you bent over at like a petroglyph, like trying to look at something, and you hear, "What is that?" And you're automatically like do a backflip and just start running like anime style.
That's pretty much what it was. You could see the little line streaming by me as I was running through the air and everything. Because I was already 99% sure that what they were seeing was a velvet ant just by their reaction.
Can you guys imagine Russ like landing? You say, "What is that?" And then Russ lands in like a superhero pose, like the Iron Man. Ground cracks underneath.
I'll tell you what that is. It's a velvet ant.
In romantic Italian, I'll tell you what that is.
That's basically what I did. I told them what it was, and I picked her up. And during that process, I handled her with my hands, without gloves or anything, for part of that, and I was fine. I don't recommend that people do that necessarily.
Did you explain that to them, or did one of those people get stung like the next week?
Oh, I don't know, but
I imagine somebody walking down the road like, "No, that guy did it. Oh my God, my hand."
Yeah, so I don't recommend people do it, but at the same time, unless you are like squeezing it up against your hand, or you tried to close it in your hand, I wouldn't blame it if it tried to sting you. But as far as letting it crawl around on your hands as you pick it up, it would probably be okay, but it's just not recommended.
Probably like handling a bee or a wasp. If it lands on you or you coax it, and as long as you're not bothering it, it's not going to bother you. You're not threatening it.
And that's often true. Although I have had like wasps just fly up against me and sting me for no reason, like that I can discern.
Yeah, we hate wasps. Well, we here in the studio, I hate wasps so much. I'm terrified. I had one fly in my shirt not even that long ago and just go bananas. I had like 8 stings by the time I got it out.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got it out, I had mushed it. So I just smashed it against myself, basically. But
in that situation, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, I felt no remorse for the wasp whatsoever. It was, yeah.
But the personality of these is totally different. Even though they are technically wasps, their personality is nothing like that, which is nice.
That is nice, considering that they have such a crazy stinger and it hurts that bad. So it's really decent that it's not going to hurt you permanently. It's just going to, make you think about ever touching one again.
Yeah, it'll
real hard.
ruin your afternoon, but it's not going to ruin your life. Yeah.
And it was just pain. It wasn't like vomiting or anything like that. Just
there was
bad
localized
pain.
Swelling, quite a
Okay,
bit
sure.
of localized swelling, and just pain. Yeah, just a pulsing pain.
Wild. Yeah, I'm not that guy. Thank God I'm not that guy. I'd like a brave wilderness. Like, I'm gonna get bit by this koala. Show you guys what it feels like. Because guys, so koalas will bite you, and a lot of them have like STDs. So I don't know if you can catch them from a bite. I don't know how that works, but I'm just letting you know. Those are 2 facts about koalas that maybe you didn't have when you logged in. Maybe you're weird like me and you knew that. These guys seem so cool, and I know Bugs in Cyberspace has them occasionally for sale.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know where else you would get them.
That's probably one of the best sources is Bugs in Cyberspace. Yeah,
I would think that's I don't know many others personally. I don't really know them personally, but I know all the stories and all the people that have put their faith in them, and I think they would be collected responsibly and kept well until they reached your home, their new home.
definitely.
Yeah, I have every faith in that being the case.
Yep.
But yeah, they're really great guys over there, folks. What are my other questions about these guys? So we had the breeding, we had the prolificness, we got a little bit into the food.
Mm-hmm.
Are the males also fuzzy like this? Would you be able to say like, oh, that's a male, whatever, or that's a male piece of cotton?
It depends on the species, but some of the ones that I've seen are fuzzy. Yeah, maybe not quite as fuzzy as some of the females, but still recognizably fuzzy. And there are velvet that aren't so fuzzy as well. I should bring that up. Like the little one that I have, the princess, she's not all that fuzzy.
And what colors are they coming in? So we saw orange and white here today, but I know there's more colors than that. So
Yeah,
what else
they're
have we
definitely red and orange and white tend to be very, and black. Those 4 colors in various combinations tend to be extremely common. And then with various patterns of a mix of all of those. So you'll get some that have like a white band and then a black band and a white band and a black band.
Oh, that's cool.
Some that have spots on them and other markings. But those are the 4 colors that are most common. And there are other colors. And there are diurnal velvet ants, which the ones we've been talking about are largely diurnal velvet ants that tend to, when the sun goes down, they'll usually not stay out a whole lot longer than that.
Sure.
But there are also exclusively nocturnal velvet ants that tend to be less colorful. So they're more
Makes
but
sense.
they're just active at night. And so there are those too. And they tend to be more along the, brownish kind of colors, things like that.
I wonder if they fluoresce, Russ. We got to ask Joe.
That would be cool to find out.
We got to ask Joe. So I'm going to guess, I'm going to put money on it that yes, they do. I will give you, $1 if you want to take that bet. $1 bet. I'm going to say they do. I think they do. We're going to reach out to Joe after the show and see if that's possible.
See what he says. That would be interesting.
He's under the green room, right? You're not trying to get back at me for having him on.
No.
or actually, we did that to him. That was you.
Did that to him. That's true.
That's right.
I showed up unannounced.
The Russ Wilson shenanigan hour. Okay, so they have all those different colors, and now I didn't know they had markings. I didn't know they had coloration differences, like where they've got spots and stripes, and that's cool.
Yeah. I don't know if I can present, but I actually have a ton of photos that Joe sent me for when we had a show, when I had him on my show. I wish I could give these to you, but I probably can't. But there's some really interesting patterns. Like I've got one that has a white head and the first part of its thorax is white, and then it's got like a black heart shape on its thorax, and then the first part of its abdomen is red, and then it's got a black patch, and then it's got a white band, and then a black band, a white band, a black band, and keeps going down all the way to the end of its abdomen. So
that is wild.
There's some pretty cool things going on there.
See, that would be cool. My whole goal is just to keep, not keep, but to promote our local bees and small wasps in my area so that they can. We have a staggering amount of local bees that I didn't know about. Thanks to Joe, now I know about all these things. So Joe is a great source of information.
Yeah, and that's really his specialty is the Hymenoptera, and specifically he focuses a lot on the solitary ones,
which is probably good. Somebody's got to do that. I
Yeah.
imagine that research is a lot harder, much easier to find a colony than individuals. So
Right.
bless him for that. That's a lot of patience.
Right.
What about you guys? Are there questions I missed? I know I missed a lot because I wasn't really paying attention. I wanted to ask my questions and you guys can just figure it out later, but I know I'm missing questions. If it wasn't for the captive bred thing, if it wasn't for that being so very difficult and such a major, no one has really done it that we know of. Well, I mean, like occasionally, but no one in any form of hobby capacity has done it.
Right.
In that aspect. So I'm going to take her out of here because she is asleep now, I'm
She
guessing.
looks like she's asleep. Yeah.
She knows it's nighttime and she's done with it. There we go.
Take care that it's light outside and she's got a lamp above her. She's ready to go to bed.
Right. Since it's so difficult, that's the only thing that is such a major roadblock to keeping them for me, is that they're so difficult to feel like you are confident how old they are when you buy them, because you're putting the money in and you get what you get with wild caught anyway, but they only live a couple of years max. So what is it, like you said, like 3 years is a really long time.
2.5-ish, 3, somewhere in there is the longest I've had one.
Yeah. Lurking wants to know what's the best way to catch fine male velvets. Good luck. I don't know if anybody's doing that. So
I've only seen a few males, and it's
Yeah.
not like I go out and look for the males, but they're also harder to look for because they're not crawling around on the ground. The last one I saw was hovering around in velvet ant habitat looking for a female, like hovering above the ground, kind of buzzing about.
Do you know offhand, do you remember, can they mate with multiple females? Like they mate with this one, then they go off, and I know a lot of hymenopterids, bees, wasps, ants, they just die afterwards, the males, after that one mating, basically.
Mhm.
So there's not a lot of carryover. There's not a lot of like, okay, see you later, I'm going to go find another lady. Do you know if that's the case with velvet ants as well?
I have the sort of impression that they can mate multiple times, but I'm not certain. I haven't looked into that a lot.
It's an impression. We'll have to follow up and I'll send Joe an email and see if he knows. But he's got to know. I mean, he knows.
He probably does, yeah.
He must know. If anyone knows,
It would be
Joe
Joe.
knows.
Or
Joe
he
knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe knows a guy who knows. If Joe don't know, that's a bumper sticker right there. Joe knows. I don't even remember what I just said, so maybe it's not a great bumper sticker.
But it's been recorded, so we can get back to it.
I keyed out bumblebees. Part of the keying out, use the color patterns. I don't know what that means. Does that mean you keyed them out?
What is
Is that
about
a
the
thing?
color patterns?
Rod Sprague says that he keyed out bumblebees, and part of the keying out used the color patterns. I think I missed some of it. I think
when he's keying them out, when he's trying to determine what species they are, and he's looking
Okay.
at the diagnostic characteristics, yeah, that the
That's
color
what it
patterns
is.
can help do that.
Just follow your Joe. Green Jedi Monkey. Just follow your Joe. It always knows. Do they release pheromones? I'm positive they release pheromones. Probably constantly if they just breed like that. Can I leave
Would
a
make
bait
sense.
female out?
I haven't looked into that, but it totally makes sense.
I mean, you're going to have to do a lot of research there, Lurking. You're looking for some in-depth stuff that no one's trying because it's so difficult to breed them. So you're pioneering, potentially. Good luck. Yeah, I'd be very interested to know if the males can be repeat offenders or if they're just like one and done type of a mating program, because I don't know of a species of wasp, bee, or ant that has multiple partners. termites don't even like termites will live together, but that's it. Like they're purely
like it's
for
basically
life.
monogamy. Yeah.
Yeah. So they are king and queen. So that's another animal I want to keep that I can't. So I shouldn't. The wife would, if she found out, she'd freak out. So, but she asks a lot of questions about Margot, the tarantula. Now she asks about updates. Most of the updates are she's still enclosed, but because other things have escaped. So she's like, he's still there, right? Yes, she's there. Ask Joe. We are going to ask Joe Rod. We are. I'm very interested to know if they do that because I would think adaptively it makes sense, but a lot of their behaviors and I don't want to say customs. That's not the right word. A lot of their behaviors and adaptations aren't hymenopterids in general aren't very apparent. It doesn't make sense. Like a lot of them just don't make sense to me why it would be this way. But I'd be interested to know if that's the case. That would make them super like a unique branch of that family or that species. That would be cool. Lurking's going to start a breeding project. I would like to get their information and keep up with that and see where that's at.
I hope it goes well. That would be great if we could get him breeding in captivity.
There's going to be a lot of shenanigans. I hope that it's filmed. I want to see it filmed because I think they're in for more of a project than they think they are.
Oh, it's
so
going to be some serious complexity.
Yeah, I mean, if nobody's doing it, everyone would want to do it, and nobody's doing it. So it's got to be insane, right? It's got to be something that's just insane.
Yeah, I just think the idea of replicating the environment for these ground nesting wasps and bees that are the hosts to an extent that a velvet ant feels like, yep, this is a burrow, just like I would encounter in the wild, and uses it. And then you're able to maintain that micro environment within that nest for long enough for it to do. I mean, that's got to be extraordinarily hard. You're talking about depth, and you're talking about thermal gradients. You're talking about humidity gradients, and all kinds of different things. Who knows how much total darkness may play into this, and whether or not any sort of excess light could mess things up. We don't even know.
So many factors.
All sorts of things going on.
So many factors that like the experts don't know. So, because when you say there's 800 species or 8,000?
8,000 species, yeah.
Yeah. So, and what's the range? What's the range on them? Because I know obviously you have them in Utah. Utah, right?
Yeah. In Utah, they are the Southwest, and Utah kind of, the southern part of Utah kind of fits into the Southwest. That's kind of the hotbed of diversity for velvet ants in the U.S. is the Southwest. The desert areas like the Sonoran Desert, the Mojave Desert, that kind of area. So there are a few hundred species just there. And then there are plenty of species spread throughout the U.S. and other countries as well. I think they're on every continent but Antarctica.
They probably are. It's probably the white ones you can't see because you just think it's those cotton. Those
They look like fluffs of snow.
Yeah.
They're pretty widespread. They tend to be in warmer areas more than in cooler areas. But there are at least one species in the UK, which is it's not particularly warm.
That's not deserty at all. Yeah,
that's deserty, but they live there. There are places there are plenty that live in Florida and other places that aren't particularly deserty. Like Desmutilla occidentalis is one of the bigger ones. That one's the 3 on the Schmidt-Payne index.
Wow. Okay.
And the biggest species I've ever had is occidentalis. They're like 1.5 inches to 2 inches long almost. They get big, and they range all the way back east into the southeast and whatnot. So they're pretty widespread. But like I said, the center of diversity in the U.S. is the Southwest. Yeah,
I found out that we have them in Illinois. We have some species in Illinois. That's like a 2-hour drive, I think, for me to go try to find them. And I'm interested. Just to kind of see. Well, if it's a 2-hour drive, I'm coming back with something. But if I find them, they're coming home. At least one. But I don't know. They'd have to be in a really sandy area, I imagine.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be sandy for a lot of the species. It's more like hard packed dirt.
Okay. All right. So I'm looking
And
for
so
that kind of a.
since here, it's fairly arid where I live, and we go into the canyons and they have the hiking trails. They're just hard packed dry dirt rather than sand. And that's where I find most of them around here.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So I'll have to look. I want to go on a field trip and see, but it would be like an afternoon thing. I don't know. The odds of finding something that small that you're looking for in an afternoon are probably pretty slim. So
yeah, even where they're abundant, I don't necessarily find a lot unless they're hyper abundant, like when I collected this one here that featured in the show today. I mean, the density of there was enough that every couple of minutes they were all over the place. And here where I live, further north, that same species occurs even further north than I am, but I don't see them up here. I've never seen one up here, but drive 2 to 3 hours south where I was when I found that one.
Yeah,
they were all over the place.
See, it's just so wild that they have that. I wonder if this is something that just came up. I wonder if you're finding them when they're abundant like that it's like a mating season, because a lot of other hymenopterids have like a certain time that they're out mating, doing nuptial flights, even though, most of these don't fly, but doing their nuptial situation in a certain season or certain markers, environmental markers, humidity, rain, whatever else, barometer. I wonder if that's the case.
They do tend to come out when it's a bit more humid, like if there's some cloud cover or if it has been raining and then it's stopped. They don't like to come out during the rain.
Sure.
But if you get like a rainy afternoon and then it clears up and the sun comes out, that's when I look at my wife and I say, it's velvet ant weather. Can we go hiking?
Velvet ant weather. Let's go for a drive.
Yeah.
We're going down to that little bistro you like 3 hours from here for lunch.
Yeah, so that does help. The humidity seems to help, but they don't want it dark and they don't want it wet, except for the the nocturnal ones. They don't want it raining and they don't want it dark, but they will come out if it's just kind of damp.
I think that's so interesting. I just think these things are all so interesting. My mind is racing. Like, how would I if I do find them, that would be cool. But I wouldn't be setting up a desert thing if I found Illinois velvet ants. I wouldn't be setting up a communal desert.
Right.
I'd be setting up like my own. Yeah, I'd be bringing home buckets of dirt. Let's give them what they're used to.
And it's really interesting that velvet ants are so aware of your presence in the wild. Like certain insects are just very, very aware of what you're doing as a potential predator.
Okay.
Tiger beetles are one that's like that too. Tiger beetle sees you and knows you're there, and if you try to get close to it, it knows it's going to take evasive maneuvers. Velvet ants are very much in that same vein. At least a lot of the species around here are like that. They see you and they take off. Like you can be 10, 15 feet away from them, and they see you moving. They're like, nope. And
so good luck.
So it is not easy to catch them, and so if you want to see some superhero antics, just put a camera behind me when I see a velvet ant. And the kind of things that I go through to be able to get close enough to photograph it, or a lot of times I'll just see them and I want to take a video clip and put it on my Instagram. And then I let it go on its way.
Sure. I just saw those from your last trip to Sky Island Adventures, where you had a bunch of one of the clips was velvet ants, kind of like right above it. So that had to be. I didn't see the heroics that went into it, but it sounds like that was probably a feat to get that shot.
Oh, it usually is. And the one where the one was stridulating.
Yes.
That one? Yeah, that one I just took. It's here up in the canyon near my house.
Okay.
That one was just here because there are a number of species that just live right, 5 minutes away, or even I found a couple in my driveway here and there.
Oh,
wow. But they're more abundant up in the canyon. But it's like 5 minute, 10-minute drive from here.
That canyon sounds wild. You've mentioned the canyon a couple times when we were talking about other things. And there's
yeah,
got to be just so much stuff in there.
Right up against the mountain range, there's just a big bunch of, within half an hour I can get to, I don't know, 10 different canyons.
I don't remember what it was we were talking about. It was an isopod that you and your son, I
Oh,
think, it had a high yellow.
Yeah,
were trying to isolate the high yellow.
specimen. That was a canyon right close to my house.
Okay.
We find all kinds of things in the canyons here. Yeah.
Whatever happened with that? Whatever happened with that project?
I still have descendants of that project.
That's
and
wild.
They do have a higher incidence of yellow than normal.
That's wild. Someone might be reaching out to you this week for advice on isolating genes, because they were like, I'm going to ask when I come into the show tonight. And I was like, no, you're not. We are not going to talk about that. And here we are. We're talking about it. So very, very lightly. I told you have plenty of videos on that. I think we talked about it in a video here before. You've got plenty of videos about isolating genes, genetics.
Breeding isopod morphs, I think, is the title of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's super in depth. So you get just enough information out of that, or plenty of information. Major tiger beetles seem like they would need a large enclosure. I would think so. They were in. They mentioned tiger beetles in this this Morgan Freeman thing. They were talking about tiger beetles are faster than their brain, like their brain can't keep up with. That's how fast they are. So I think he said that they would run, if they were scaled up to our size, they would be running 300 kilometers an hour.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah, like pound for pound, they're pretty much the fastest animal on the planet. Mm-hmm. So I know that they have to. They'll run at a thing and then stop and reorient and be like, okay, where did it go? And then take off again after, because they literally can't see once they get going. They can't take in visual perceptions anymore.
They can't process this visual stimuli until after it. That fact.
Yeah, not that fast. Like they just can't. So they've got great vision, like mantis shrimp type of vision, but not in real time, I guess, because they have to run and then be like, okay, where'd it go? Okay, there it is. I couldn't imagine being chased by something like that. Like imagine a Michael Myers, like a slasher movie where that's the guy.
With mandibles like that? Oh yeah, those are.
Or
that would be
sure, mandibles. Doesn't have to be machetes. It could be mandibles. That's way scarier. Morgan Freeman was born in 1937, and he narrated his own birth.
He does have an amazing voice, I gotta say.
He does. Recessive elates. I'm not late, am I? Yeah, Don, you're late. Sorry, buddy. We're like wrapping it up now. We're just on our issues where we go off on rampant tangents, not rampants, rampant tangents.
Yeah, there you go. Rampant tangents.
Yeah. So you've kept them for how long? How long have you kept these guys? Like since you were a kid, or?
I mean, like when I started keeping them as pets. Right?
Yeah,
not like one individual, but how long?
I don't know. Whatever. Yeah.
Well, the longest individual I kept was about 2.5 years, which is pretty good for velvet ants. Let's see, when I first got velvet ants, I want to say it was probably around 2018 or so, I think.
Okay. All right. So it's been a while.
Yeah. Probably right around there, maybe 2016, 2017, somewhere in there.
That's a lot shorter time than I thought. That's a lot less time than I assumed. Is that when you started your communal desert setups? Or communal desert? Okay.
Yeah, I saw it on Bugs in Cyberspace. That's where I got the idea. He had a really cool desert communal with beetles and velvet ants, and I thought that is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I got to try that. And it was my birthday. And I said, I want to go try to look for velvet ants. And I, of course, contacted Joe and said, where should I look? When should I look? How should I look?
Yeah.
All that stuff. And Joe said, this is when you look. This is where you look, blah, blah, blah. And so we took a little birthday hike, and I found 3 in like 20 minutes.
That's awesome. So he knows. Did you take Joe with you?
No. He lives far enough away that we do see each other once in a while, but it's not like we can do it super easy. We have to, it's advanced planning and is involved and whatnot to be able to do that.
Yeah, so, it's a hassle.
But he will just once in a while, he'll just send me a text and say, hey, I'm done with some of these velvet ants. I was doing a research project and a photo shoot. As part of the research project, do you want these velvet ants? Yes, I do.
It's a nice call to get, right?
Yeah, like the 2 little Gloriosas, the little ones with the little tutus.
Yeah.
Those were from Joe's photo shoot from his research project.
Those are
And
Joe
you
originals.
can look up his article on those thistledown velvet ants, and those are my velvet ants that we just saw in the video clips.
That's cool. Now I would be doing a deep dive into Joe's articles. That's going to be,
Yeah, he's got some really fun stuff in those articles.
that'll be a new obsession. So I was trying to think if I could keep, because I'm trying to think of what I can keep with Bingo, my blue tongue skink for bioactive.
Oh yeah.
She's eaten all of her isopods as far as I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
There might be a few in there, but I put in probably 200 into a 55 with her, and because I knew she'd get some.
Oh yeah.
But I haven't seen one in like 2 weeks. I figured they'd be under the water dish or near the water dish, and I haven't seen one. So I'm guessing that she picked them all off. So I'm like, what would be something she could, they're arid. I'm keeping her pretty arid. But what would be something? And I was like, oh, velvet ants. No, that would suck. If she tried one, that could be real bad.
That wouldn't be a happy day.
But then I was thinking death fainters, but people are like, nah, her teeth, she'll probably get through it. So
she'll probably crunch through it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a mystery for now, but
I'm just thinking you got to try something really small, like maybe. Well, is it planted?
Not yet. The new setup. That's going to be the next. I'm going to do a build video, like a legit one. And she's getting a dog pool. It's like a collapsible dog swimming pool.
Oh yeah, I remember you messaging me that.
Yeah. So it's 4 foot circle, like 4 foot wide circle, basically. It's about a foot high, but it's going to have a lid. I have to figure out how to do the lid for sure, but yeah, it'll be really cool. So she's going to have that. So there'll be plenty of space in there. It's going to be planted with some succulents.
Mm-hmm.
I've sourced some already that are safe if she decides to snack, which she probably will. But they're safe and easily replaceable. So we might have pots. I might just do pots. But I think it'll be a really nice setup once it's done. I'll be real excited.
Oh yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, the main reason to have a lid, well, she'll get out of it, but the other reason is that cats would get in it. I don't want them to use it for a litter box or something. That'd be bad. Yeah. But yeah, if anybody has any ideas for that, reach out.
I'm still thinking about it. The idea that it's going to be planted limits my suggestions considerably, because something like Venezuela parvis is so small. Okay. I can't imagine that she would be interested in eating those.
And they're fairly underground, like they
tend to be quite fossorial, so I imagine a lot of them would escape anyway. The problem is they nibble plants like nobody's business. They're one of the worst offenders there.
Well, like I just said, I think the plants might be in pots or a planter type of thing.
True,
so
but I wouldn't put it past them crawling up into the pots and getting into it, because or burrowing under the pots and through the drainage holes.
Stinkers. Are they fast breeders? I kept them and didn't have a lot of success with parvis.
They're not super fast breeders, but once they get going, you get kind of a critical mass. And then eventually, I've heard, and I haven't seen this, but I've heard that eventually your substrate is more parvis than anything else.
Right. Okay, well, I'll try that. That sounds like a good idea. Because I was gonna do darkling beetles too, but she'll just eat those and go crazy for the grubs.
Yeah,
so.
It's true. Something fossorial, something that stays out of the way. Maybe Silisticus convexus. Maybe somebody was mentioning giant canyon. Giant canyon could be a good one as long as you have enough to get started, because if she eats enough of them, they're so good at being fossorial though. Maybe she wouldn't get them all.
Yeah, and I could set up some things where they would have areas to get where she wouldn't get there.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a secondary. That's an afterthought, more or less, because it's going to be set up. She's going to go right in it. It's not going to be set up with, a month of seasoning it with all these things. So I'll have to figure something out for that. But it'll be good when it gets going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to do bioactive, but I don't want her to be. She's got about 1 billion springtails in there with her right now. So there's some bioactivity going on, but not a whole lot.
No, there's something to be said for that, for sure.
What else was I going to ask you about these velvet ants? Yeah, I don't know. Any tips? You just grab them, like your antics of running after them.
When you got to get down on their level, and you got to they're going to dart for any sort of cover. So you
Okay.
need to put some sort of barrier between them and the cover if you're going to capture them, typically.
Okay. Like a
And I
butterfly
often
net
get
type
them
of
to, I'll
situation.
put the container in front of them and have them run into the container. You have to kind of keep your eye on where they're going.
Sure.
They're
Sure.
fast and they change directions quickly, but you have to get that container in front of them so they run into the container and kind of do the work for you.
That's better. That sounds way better than even with a glove. I wouldn't even trust a glove with that
Yeah.
crazy stinger, because they'll be in a situation. That's a situation you're putting them in where they're just wanting to get out. There we go.
Yeah, if they feel squeezed, they will sting. Oh, she's up and out. She's out and
Round
about.
two. Round two. She came out for the closeout. So she's
Yeah.
mad I'm not sharing my futuristic flavor. I'm only drinking it because I'm thirsty. It's not. I'm gonna go get some actual water after this. It's not great. It's not bad. It's not that mango flavored dream that was. Good God, that was awful.
Nightmare.
It was so bad. It was so bad. Russ, I can't even tell you. As soon as I smelled it, I knew. It was like, I thought it was durian flavored. I had to look it up. Yeah, honestly, I thought it was durian flavored, but then I hear durian is actually pretty good to eat. Like, it tastes good.
But it just smells bad.
Right. But this was just like, I found out it was mango because I got a mango. What triggered me was I got a mango Mountain Dew, and it was like the same situation. Yeah, I know. I know I'm a jerk. My co-host down here, my producer, is yelling at me. But this was a good time, Russ. Thank you, as always.
Oh yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're getting close to that 500 mark. I'm getting excited.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming. We got guys in 2 weeks. I believe it's in 2 weeks. Is Podsgiving.
I think so. Yeah.
On the 21st, it's going to be me. Yep, 2 weeks. It's going to be me, Wally, and Russ. We just had them on again, so it's going to be good. We're going to talk about whatever basically you guys want to talk about. We're going to talk about traditions. We're going to get some more into it. I'm going to take a look because next week we have somebody too, and I can't for the life of me remember who it is. We're going to talk to Andres Rivera about silk moths next week.
Oh, cool.
Specifically silkworms and maybe a little bit of like the mafia that's involved in silkworm production. Yeah, it's like it's a really weird situation with silkworms. So I wish it was a joke. It's not. It's like really weird.
That is weird.
Yeah, hopefully we're gonna get the goods on that. So I think he's ready to talk about it because I talked to him for 10 seconds and he was talking about it. So I think we're good. Pod turkey, no. Last time we did it, Russ, what did you give your pods for the Podsgiving?
I think I brought an assortment of things. Did I bring some cranberry sauce?
I think you did. I didn't. I had a little like a soda cap with 5 or 6 different things in like little pie shapes. They were tiny. It was stuffing and a little bit of turkey, or it was like turkey cat food, and some other items that were weird. The problem was we didn't get a lot of the isopods were in there and didn't want anything to do with it. They just wanted to hide the whole time. So I'm trying to see if we can change that. But and then Wally had like different Supreme Gecko chows that seemed to be okay. They got a decent response.
Yeah.
I remember my big response was the turkey cat food, which was not a surprise. So, and it was the dairy cows. I had 4 species in my bin. And the dairy cows were the ones that eventually were like, okay, it's time to eat.
They would be the ones.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of my go-to. I was hoping something else would come out and eat, but that was it. But we had a blast, and we just talked about whatever. So you guys are going to want to be there for that one. I get to talk to some of the greats, and to get 2 of them at once is just awesome. I don't have a topic for that night, so I think talking about traditions and family and whatever you guys want to talk about doesn't have to be about those things. Whatever the audience wants to talk about is fine with me. Cool. So does that sound good to you?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm on it.
Awesome. Thanksgiving's like my high holy day. So this is a big deal to throw it into the isopod community too and spread that out. It's like the last major holiday that we have and celebration that we have in America that isn't totally commercialized. So I know there's some of it. I know there's a little bit, but it's not like you don't start seeing Halloween or Thanksgiving decorations the day after Easter. You know what I mean?
Right.
Radio stations are already playing the day after Halloween, they were playing holiday music for Christmas. And I hate it. I hate it until Thanksgiving is over, and then I embrace Christmas a little bit.
Then it's okay.
Yeah, I won't decorate. I won't put anything up. I won't tell you happy holidays until Thanksgiving is over. So it's like offensive to me. It's such a great holiday. You can spend it with whoever you want. It doesn't have to be family. You can have your adopted family. You can have your pod family, which we're doing again. You can do whatever you want. Have a great Thanksgiving. It's not religious. It's not any like weird religious connotations to it where people can be like, oh, we used to be pagans. No one cares. It's Thanksgiving. Just enjoy it. It's a great time. You eat, you share food, you share stories, you share family, share time. And we're going to do that. We are going to do that. Maybe we'll eat something this year.
There you go.
Like we had pie the one time.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
I don't even remember what we talked about. I just remember how long it took to set up that pie. That situation with the pie was.
Yeah, that was hilarious though.
That was some good behind the scenes. But yeah, so I'm going to let you go. And then again, if you want to hang out in the green room and chat afterwards, we can. If not, I take no offense. I'm going to do some closeout stuff because I've got some items to talk about with people just for a couple minutes. So, all right.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on,
I've got
Ross.
to head off too. So it has been awesome. It always is. And I'll look forward to the next time.
Awesome. We'll see you on the 21st for sure. So
all right.
We'll be in touch. All right. Tell Joe we said hi.
I'll do.
All right, Russ. Bye. How awesome is that, guys? Russ is he's gone. All right. Russ is always great to have on. So I had a real good time. I had a real good time with Russ this time. And we had a lot of good things at the end. So Thanksgiving is every fat boy holiday. It is, but I think it's a lot of holidays are fat boy holidays. Serve giant isopods for Thanksgiving. God, Rod, no. No. On time next week, you're off. On the 21st, good. We could eat waffles. I wonder if we could get Wally. Yeah, we could definitely eat waffles. That would be fun. In Frank's honor. You know what happens to people who talk about Silkworm Mafia? Guys, I'm not even kidding. Like, the Silkworm thing is like a whole situation. You have no idea. I have a very minimal idea, and it's like, what? Yeah. Hopefully he's still down. I haven't talked to him in a minute, but hopefully he's still down, and we're going to talk about it, because it's just knowing a tiny little bit, it's crazy. It's a crazy situation to think about when you think about silkworms. Like, it's not fentanyl, it's silkworms, guys. So I had no idea. It's a big deal. But I guess it could destabilize the silk market. So it kind of makes sense. And we're using them for food for reptiles. So, hey, whatever. Guys, it is occurring to me that a lot of people I'm talking to are having issues that are a little bit of like mental health issues right now and coping and having times with that. So take care of yourself. Take care of yourself right now. I know the time change. I don't know about you being in Illinois. When I go to work, it's dark. When I come home, it's dark now, like dark. That doesn't help when you're just seeing sun through the window 5 days a week. Get out when it's sunlight, when you can. I got out today purposely just to even do chores, to get out in the sunshine. Do what you got to do to take care of yourself. I don't know where you're at. Like, it's been a rough month for me. So, and honestly, it's been an easy month. So it's a mixed bag. Who's this? Item 13. I hate standard time too. I'm with you there, item 13. Haven't seen you before. Welcome to the show. At the last 2 minutes. So get out for Thanksgiving. Start making Thanksgiving plans with your family, your friends, whoever you spend it with, whoever you choose. Your favorite barista. I don't know. Bring a homeless person over for dinner. Do what you got to do. Just enjoy it. Share time, share a meal. Sharing a meal with someone is such a big deal, you guys. Ask isopods, they know. Other than that, guys, I got nothing. So like, subscribe, maybe help share the video. Share the video around. Tell somebody it's fun. Maybe not this one. This one was fun. Maybe another one you like. I don't care. I don't think it matters. Get people involved. We're very close to 500. We're so close. I don't know where else to share it. I don't know how else to bring people in. But yeah, if you like the show, if you like what we do, throw it out there a little bit, just a little bit. You're already here. So we also have the Patreon. If you're into the Patreon, it is. I'll put a link in the description. It's ISO Buddies on Patreon. You'll find it. It's not a big deal. You already found this. If you can find this, you can find that. Its minimum was like $1 a month. So, I mean, it's something. It helps. We're looking to get new cameras. We're looking, or a camera, a better camera for doing on-sites. Yeah, I don't know if you saw, we're going to be doing more videos that are like build videos, videos where we're out on a location doing something or looking for things outside in the wild. Those won't be live, obviously, but they'll be hopefully entertaining. So, but I want a better camera for that, like a portable, good camera. So, yeah, so that's what we're saving for now with our Patreon money. So that'll help. That a little bit will help get it better. Love you too, Reed. Good guy. Thanks, Frank. It was an excellent stream. I think this one was really good. I get really comfortable with Russ and Wally on because we're actually, I feel like we're actual friends. It's good. I'm very fortunate. I'm very fortunate to have you guys. So thanks for coming. If you're already on the Patreon, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It helps so much. So we have some beautiful people. We're doing trying to come up with some beautiful things to do for them, for their support. So, and get caught up with what I'm doing for people, for their beautiful support. So, yeah, guys, that's it. That's all I got. Next week, again, Silkworm Mafia. The week after that, Podsgiving. I don't know that I have anything set up after that. So, holidays are a weird time. We'll get some people. We'll get some more stuff. If anybody knows anyone who does lychees, let me know. Let me know. We're looking for somebody who does lychees that might want to come on. So, like I said, we had some kind of minimal response from NARBC people that we met. And nothing from our lychee guy. So we're hoping to God that we can get someone on that can do that. So, thanks, Rod. Even though I mispronounce your name every time. It's not even on purpose anymore. It's just like locked in. So, it's Rad Sprag. Like an egg. Sprag. That was very Chicago. Anyway, on that note, we'll tease a viewer a little bit. I don't really know. Okay, that sounds great. I don't tease everybody, so it's a special thing. But no really waffles with turkey stuffing and gravy on them. And Sandy, I'm down for that. I'm down for that. I'm going to post a picture of the turkey that I cooked for my friend Thanksgiving last week. So you'll want to see that. It was Saturday. It was this past Saturday. Yeah, it's really good. It was really good, you guys. But other than that, guys, we'll see you next week. Hope you can make it. Love you. Love your support. Love that you're here. Love cheese.